Hi, it's Chloe again. I spoke in my last video about hypermobility syndrome, which is the chronic illness that I live with, and I began to talk about the things that I really want to achieve through this channel, and that really is raising awareness of chronic illnesses and what it's like to live with a chronic illness, and what it's like to live with someone who has a chronic illness. I'm not just going to concentrate on hypermobility syndrome. The idea is that I want to get in touch with different people who suffer with different diseases, and so it can really be a source for people who are perhaps newly diagnosed or suspect they might have a chronic illness. So the thing that I would like to talk about today is something that I come up against quite a lot, and from reading other people's blogs and reading posts in support forums, I think it's something that is very dominant in people's lives who have chronic illnesses and are trying to maintain friendship circles and friendship groups. For me, I'm very, very lucky that my family are 100% supportive. I know that for some people though, this would unfortunately extend to their family members as well. So the thing that I want to talk about is letting people in. Something that I get a lot, letting people in. It's a bizarre, almost standoff sometimes, unintentionally. People can become very distant and quite resentful. Because they feel like you're not being honest with them, because you don't tell them exactly how you're feeling all the time, or maybe you don't get in touch with them, you don't seek out social visits and things like that anymore. And people know that you're chronically ill, but they feel a bit affronted when they ask you how you are, and you say, I'm okay, I'm fine, and I'm the queen of putting on that brave face and going, I'm fine, I'm fine. But it's not. I think some people think it's deceitful, which it absolutely isn't. It's anything but deceitful. There's something when you're living with a chronic illness that I think most sufferers would want to achieve, and that is dividing how your pain has been and how your symptoms have been and how that day has been. So I can say to people, yesterday for example, I had a friend come over during the morning who moved away about a year ago, so I don't get to see her very often, and we had the most wonderful morning. And then another very close friend of mine popped round in the afternoon, and again we had a really, really lovely afternoon together. That was a good day. My pain wasn't great. In the afternoon I had to say to my friend, I have to go upstairs and I have to put on some different trousers. I need to put my pyjama bottoms on because I got this awful stomach ache, and I needed to sit with a wheat bag on my tummy. Now she's someone that I absolutely wouldn't judge me. I would feel very, very comfortable with. When I had some hip blocks a couple of weeks ago that made me really poorly, and she actually came and visited and just sat on my bed. That's the kind of friendship we have. I feel completely comfortable with her, and that's lovely. But I would class yesterday as a very good day, despite this awful tummy ache and the pain that I had in my hips by the end of the day, and the tiredness and all of that. But it was a really good day yesterday because I got to see people that I love and I got to spend time with them, and that was nice. So I split how the pain was and how my day was. Some people that perhaps don't know you quite so well, they feel like, from what I've read and from personal experience, it's not just personal experience, it is also what I've read, they feel like you should be telling them exactly how it is. And the problem with that is that when you're living with a chronic illness, you're not just chronically ill, you're not just poorly. And that word, that idea, being ill all the time, being in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that concept is an enormous concept. And I think unless you've experienced it, it's very hard to understand really what that's like. So we've not only got that going on, we've not only got this thing going on that we feel poorly all the time, and I say poorly quite lightly, it's really quite horrendous to feel that way all the time. We're also mourning. I think a lot of people who live with chronic illnesses go through a stage of really deep grief and mourning, because you're mourning for not only the life that you had, you're also mourning for the life that you thought you had, that you thought you had ahead of you, that you thought you were going to have. You're a fighter, because you're fighting your illness, you're fighting your symptoms to get them under control, you're fighting mentally to not become depressed and not give in to the physical aspect of your illness. You're normally, if you're a patient, you're fighting the system because of the bureaucracy involved with the NHS, and I think in America with insurance companies, you're having to fight to get the recognition that you need and the affirmation that you need and the treatment that you need. So you're fighting all the time. You're also your own advocate, and that's really difficult. This is something that my mum and my husband really struggle with when I'm very, very poorly, and for whatever reason they need to speak to a doctor, or my medication needs sorting out, or perhaps I've run out of medication and I need more. Nobody will talk to them because I'm an adult and mentally I'm fine. I haven't got special needs in that sense. You know, obviously physically, I guess you would class a disability as special needs, but I haven't got any learning difficulties or anything. So you have to be your own advocate. Being your own advocate when you're poorly and all you want to do is shut the world out is really difficult, because it makes you feel like I can't do this right now. I can't have this fight right now. But you have to be your own advocate. You also have to be a student. You're learning all the time about your illness, about therapies that might work for you, and you might be trying to reach out to connect with other sufferers. And then throw into that, you're going to be a friend. And it's hard. It's so hard to you know, you're desperate to keep in touch with your friends. You're desperate to have them around you. You want to be able to give as much to that friendship as you used to be able to do, but you have got these massive, uncontrollable issues in your life. And then what happens is people turn away from you, and it's really sad. And it's really hard to be on the receiving end of that isolation. Having a chronic illness is incredibly isolating. Even if you're in a room full of people, you can feel really, really isolated. And then when you've got all of that going on and you're trying to be a friend and you're trying to share what is going on in your life, it's so huge, it's enormous, that it really can leave you feeling like, I can't begin to put into words what this is like. I don't understand it myself. I don't understand what's happened to my life. I don't understand what's going to happen in the future. And you're asking me to tell you how it is. And I don't know. I can't process this information. I can't process these emotions. They're too big. How are you has also become a greeting. I can't speak for other countries, but definitely in the UK. And it's almost as empty as hello. Oh, hello, how are you? And then you keep going and they're gone. And you never know, that could have been when you ask someone how they are who is chronically ill. Only ask if you really want to know. If you're willing to stand there and listen for 10 minutes, they may fall apart. They may get really angry and they may be fine. But when you ask that question, you really need to be sincere. And you need to be willing to listen to the answer. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get a, I'm fine, because that's all the person can muster up that day. That's all the energy that they have. Doesn't mean that they're trying to hold things from you. Doesn't mean that they think any less of you. It is just all that they can cope with that day. But you need to be willing. If you've said, how are you? You need to be willing to stand and listen to the answer, because you never know. That might be the one time that person really needs to open up and tell you exactly how it is. So with regards to letting people in, if you are the friend of someone with a chronic illness, if you're the spouse of someone with a chronic illness, my top tips for you would be kind, be patient, and be consistent. Don't come in and out of that person's life. They need you there or they don't need you. What they don't need is to be second guessing when you're going to ring, when you're going to text, why you're ringing, why you're going to text, all of those things. You need to be consistent, because there are a lot of, I suppose, mental health issues with chronic illness that person is probably going to be resenting themselves. They're going to be resenting their body. I know I read one account of a lady and she became really paranoid actually, and every time one of her friends got in touch with her, she felt like they were doing it for all the wrong reasons, because they weren't consistent. They were in her life and they were out of her life. So yeah, definitely be consistent. Doesn't mean you have to text or get in touch every day, but do be consistent. Be kind. Even if you don't feel like being kind, for goodness sake, be kind. Please be kind. The last thing that someone who is chronically ill needs is other people being nasty. Don't need it. Don't need it. You've got them, you don't know, but the person that you're talking to, they might have sat in a doctor's office that day and had a doctor tell them that this is all in their head, and that they know it's not all in their head, certainly before diagnosis. And then you're nasty to them. It's a dangerous game. It really is. And again, some of the accounts that I've read of people being verbally attacked by doctors and verbally attacked by friends, they are tragic. They really are tragic. So be patient, be kind, and be consistent. Be patient. You need buckets of patience. My husband is absolutely amazing. I can't put into words how wonderful he is, but my personality has changed a lot since I became ill, since I became in pain all the time. I don't know anybody who could live with pain all the time and not have their personality changed. Never used to be snappy, never used to be grumpy, never used to be short-tempered, and I'm all of those things now. I manage it. I don't deal with anger very well. I don't feel comfortable at all with myself when I'm angry. But I do snap. I snap at him over stupid little things. I don't shout. I'm not a shouter, but I do snap, and that is incredibly upsetting for me. It's incredibly upsetting for him, but he's patient and he understands that there's me and then there's me with the illness, and he's really fantastic at seeing the two as very different things. He sees my pain as the kind of snappy, grumpy person. You might come a cropper. You might ask your friend something really bland and normal one day, and you might come a cropper. If they've been in agony, if they've been up all night, if their medication has changed, you might come a cropper on the end of their anger. And please be patient and be forgiving of that, because you can bet it will make them feel awful. But unfortunately, when you're in pain all the time, it's that classic like bear with a sore head. I think you become quite primal when you're in pain all the time, when it's really, really bad. And you say things that you would never normally say about yourself and to other people. So yeah, be patient. That's it, I think. Be kind, be patient, and be consistent. And remember that it's never personal. If somebody isn't telling you exactly how their life is, maybe they just don't want to talk about it that day. Maybe they just want to have a good day that day. Okay, thanks ever so much for listening. Blessings. Bye.